think we have a really good trade setup brewing, or it's already here. You can decide. I did want to share this because I don't know if it gets much better than this. If you're willing to like just buy shares and hold for a long time, then I mean, I think the writing was already on the wall in terms of like where Bitcoin's headed. And so you could literally be long any Bitcoin derivative like MicroStrategy, like IBIT ETF, whatever. You could trade literal derivatives of those, like options on those things as well. It's rare that we get the time in our favor, like where we can actually say, hey, like it's going to move now, but I think we're there. So let me pull up the charts. I don't worry about narratives, so just charts for me. This is currently like Bitcoin. Well, let's look back. So this channel has contained all the Bitcoin price action dating back really to the 2017 top. Okay, these are daily bars. We could switch it to weekly. Maybe it makes it easier to see. We can zoom in more. You can kind of see here that I think the price is, I can basically tell you where this like weekly bar probably ends, probably at like 86,600, probably like right on the inside of this channel if I had to guess, but I mean, I could also be wrong. But basically it's going to end somewhere inside that channel, and then it's going to explode up next week, probably to like the 96,000, probably reject back down at some point, go back up to the top, probably reject off the top at some point, maybe come back down to the middle. And then, I don't know, I keep saying June. It keeps looking to me every time I look like June, July is when we explode out. You know what I mean? And this chart I have written in green. This is Bitcoin. But if I switch this over to my red chart, okay, the red chart is more of an aggressive expansion channel. And the upside could be as high as, I mean, 130,000, I think. And that's not really, I think that's conservative. You know what I mean? That's just the splitting the middle of this like bottom channel. Now there's more I wanted to show that made me want to record this video. The main reason why I felt like this is an urgent thing that I'm asking people to watch is because look at the Bitcoin to gold ratio. Okay. Again, going back to like 2017, top basically. Look at this well-defined channel that it trades within. I try to make it so that it's like the crisp red lines are really what we're paying attention to. Maybe I should make them even like, 2 pixels or something like that so that they stand out even more. But that upwards red channel, is containing the price action of the Bitcoin to gold ratio. And we are pretty much up against the bottom of it. Like these are weekly bars, right? So theoretically gold, and I called this, should go up to like 3,500, 3,550 even an ounce. When that happens, if Bitcoin doesn't move with it, then this bar could come right back down to support again. And then guess what happens? We're going to have the entry of a lifetime, really, in terms of like timing. These are weekly bars. These are significant. Like this right here is about as good as it gets. And if I pull up gold again, let me show you. Like again, so this should sync up with what we see here on the gold chart. And what do you know? While Bitcoin's chart is down here on the support, right? And the Bitcoin to gold ratio is down there on the support. Gold is nearing completion of this move up here around 3,500, 3,550 an ounce, And again, I don't need to know narratives about why. I have heard some things though that would make sense for it to go up about that high. And then guess what? It's probably going to retrace down to like 3,000 an ounce. And when that happens, are people going to say narratives about why? Who cares? The charts will tell you that's going to happen. I don't know how fast it's going to happen or how slow, whatever. I don't care. But like it's coming. I called this a month ago, and it just looks to be like it's in the queue, like it's coming. You know what I mean? Again, I think Bitcoin will inevitably move up with gold if gold's going to move another $100, $150 an ounce, just to, again, maintain that we stay in this channel. If we collapse out of this channel, then all bets are off. But I mean, again, look, this is going back like 7 years, and I imagine we will be in this range for another 7 years. You know what I mean? So, and again, I don't know until we know, right? Again, time is what tells us, but you don't get paid for looking backwards. You get paid for looking forwards. I think this is as good as it gets. I think that's really, that ratio is going to flip again. Every time you see it go up, because this is Bitcoin divided by gold, that means Bitcoin's outperforming. And, at a minimum, we're going to get, a little bit of upswing into these other kind of overhead resistances. Now, another thing that made me really want to do this video, okay, because I did a similar video last week. So I wanted to show you Bitcoin on the logarithmic chart. Okay, now this is my third time recording this because I don't know, I just talked too much the first 2 times. But the only thing I'm going to say is on the log chart, guys, the moves upwards in USD value get like even though these bars look the same size, like the amount of USD that it's moving is massive near the top, whereas at the bottom, it's like very small. You know what I mean? So look at these levels. Look at the white lines. Oh, I wanted to mention the yellow lines, that channel. It's not the same as a linear channel that you get like over here. Log, they should be like curved, okay? Now, I'm not like a logarithmic mathematician, so I'm just doing the best I can here, but it should be curved. I don't know how to draw the curved lines in TradingView. But look at these levels. This first level, since like Bitcoin's inception, what I did is I have my spreadsheet over here. We spent 44 weeks on this level. Bitcoin gained 1,700%. This next level, we spent 194 weeks. Bitcoin gained 572%. This next level right here, we spent 172 weeks on this level. Bitcoin gained 406%. Now we get to the level we're currently at. We've been here for 233 weeks and counting. And I mean, we've gained around 400%, a little bit less, okay? From when we first joined to, essentially depends on how you count it, right? Because we're not out of this level yet. It really depends, to say definitively, is when we exit this level, okay, then we'll know kind of like what the actual percentage gain was. But like right now, it's like depending on how you count it, right? Because look at this, it's logarithmic, guys. When we came to this level, the first overhead resistance was established at 65,000 Bitcoin. Okay, we're looking at this white line right here, if you want me to highlight it. Okay, but it's a log chart and it's angled. The next time we tested the overhead resistance, Bitcoin was at 70K. The next time we hit the same resistance, Bitcoin was at 107,000, okay? The next time we hit the same resistance, Bitcoin was at basically 110,000, okay? Now, I don't know, by the way, we've tested that resistance now like 4 times. At some point, we're going to break through. And if you look back, let's look back. Every time we break through one level and go to the next, we essentially establish the top range for the next level. Pretty much guarantee. I mean, it hasn't been 100% hit rate, but basically, so however high we go, it's going to be rapid. It's going to be those rip your face FOMO moves that happen when we break through. So if you just want to play with options on Bitcoin derivatives, you would want to do it probably just when we break through, because it's a sure, I mean, I don't say sure thing, not financial advice, but that's basically, if you look back in time, has not really ever led you astray, except you could maybe say right here on this bar from like, what was that? Was that COVID? No, that was 2017. I guess we went from like 4,000 down to 3,000 and then just continued to move up. But it's been basically about as sure of a thing as you could possibly get. Actually, there was a back test here when we broke through in December of 2020. We went from 19,000 down to 17,000, which doesn't sound like much, but at the time it might have shaken some people out before you just absolutely rip faces off. And if you're new to trading, like that's not a new phenomenon. That happens all the time. Like it makes the people who are right double check that they're right and maybe shake them out of the move right before they essentially get validated. So don't let that be you. But I mean, we've hit this overhead resistance 4 times. I'm guessing that the 5th time we just ripped straight through. Now, the placement of this next bar, again, I don't want to talk too much about it. That's why I'm re-recording this for the 3rd time. I'm doing the best I can predicting this using percentages up, looking at the difference in terms of percentages of the percentages up of the previous levels, and then looking at essentially the rate of change in those percentages. When I do that, without knowing what the price action is when we break through, and without that, I'm just, again, that makes it even more uncertain. But it looks like we should essentially get to 400,000 as a almost certainty at some point. I don't think we go straight to it because that wouldn't really make sense. You'd have to overshoot the top of this level. But let's just say that we did something like this. I keep saying June, July looks ripe for when this happens. Okay, so this is July. If you were to do that, complete the move in July, which maybe that's too quick. Maybe it's something like this where we do it and October doesn't seem right either. Let's maybe do like August. In August, you could hit like 300,000, like that is in the cards. And that would, again, translate right here. Let's see, let's draw the line. Where's August? That would put us, I don't know. When I see convergences, by the way, of these lines, when I see convergences, I think those tend to be targets too. So let's actually target right here. Maybe it's going to be October. Maybe it is. So something like that right there. Okay, so let's say it's October of 2025. But the move would essentially start, like I was saying. Like it could be starting now. You get an explosive move in June, July. I thought that maybe would make sense, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, that's the problem. Trying to time it just so you can play options is risky when you know this is basically a certainty in terms of, I don't want to say it's a certainty, not a financial advice, whatever, but like it doesn't get much better than this in terms of setup. You could just play the underlying. You could own Bitcoin. You could own IBIT. You could own MicroStrategy. You could own whatever. So if we redraw this line and we just say, let's go to October. Okay. Where is October? Right here. Something like that. Obviously, it never goes straight up. So it's probably going to be like that, right? But you get there inevitably. And it's like 315,000 Bitcoin. I mean, what's that going to do to MicroStrategy? That's going to be straight rocket fuel to MicroStrategy. Now, do I even need to pull up the MicroStrategy chart? Like, not really. I don't want to do it on the log chart, actually. Let's do it over here. Pull up MicroStrategy. Okay, now my green charts are my safe charts. Like I should be looking at the red charts reasonably. So maybe we go to the red here, MSTR. The red is the more aggressive, and I think we're entering a more aggressive kind of channel. Yeah, look right here. I had circled this from the previous video. I left the circle there. What date was that? November. Okay, I drew it in November. So why don't we just move this to October? I mean, we moved it 1 month, you know? We might go something like that to this to, I don't know. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but I just don't know that it gets much better, you know? I don't know. I really felt like this was worth sharing again. When it first entered my mind as a trade idea, yeah, look, I mean, even inevitably, or I mean, accidentally, I drew this up to that green overhead resistance, drop it down, rip it up. October, $800 MicroStrategy, $3,000 Bitcoin. MicroStrategy could also get like S&P inclusion. And honestly, this is where it's like a wild card. I don't want to be like one of those guys that's super, what do they say, irresponsibly long MicroStrategy, but like it doesn't have to stop at 800. Like you get these overshoots. Now, if it got to 1,000, that would be for sure like I'm not going to say it's exiting this channel. That's like the most aggressive channel that I really had in mind for MicroStrategy. But like 1,000 is in play. That's not off the table at all. And it would just be validated by, you know, the November 2024 top and the March 2024 top as well. There's different ways to look at it though. If you look at the green chart too, like let's look at it on the green chart. So these green bars go back to the previous 2000, you know, top, which by the way also connected us to the November 2024 top as well. So where would $1,000 be? Yeah, that would even be higher. So yeah, maybe 1,000's not on the table. I think 800 seems reasonable, just based on previous price action here. But again, these green channels are basically me trying to keep it safe and within reason based on like what's happened in the past. So the red channels are where I get aggressive. If you really want to say that these moves go, but all I'm saying is we don't even need it to be like the complete rip your face off move. The log scale though tells you that at some point, and typically if you just go back, look, whoops, just go back. When you enter these new levels, you get the biggest move, you know? Those are the moves that if you catch once and you're positioned properly, I want to say you could theoretically retire. It all depends on how aggressive you are, but like, I don't know. How many more chances are you going to get where it's like this obvious? And is this time going to be different too? You know, you've seen it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Will there be a fifth or is this time different, you know? Anyways, I'm going to wrap the video here unless I can think of anything that I missed. We looked at the gold chart. We looked at the Bitcoin chart. Looked at log scale. Looked at Bitcoin to gold ratio. I don't think there's anything left. I mean, I could look at like, there's other things we could look at like Bitcoin to SPY ratio if you want to look at like the S&P and stuff like that. But I don't think it's necessary. I think we're good here. Okay, I lied. There was one more thing. This is the Bitcoin to the Dixie, the DXY, the dollar index, and it looks ripe for a move up. So basically the runway is clear for that to rip as well. This is my red chart. It's my more aggressive chart. If I pull up the green chart, this channel does not have as much room to run, but part of the thesis is that we're going to leave this previous channel in the dust and expand into a new channel. I mean, this is the same chart, guys. This is the same Bitcoin divided by Dixie. You know, we switch it over here to the more aggressive channel. And I think this is more reflective of the age of inflation and monetary expansion that I don't want to say are entering into. I think that we're in. It's just going to start being more obvious in the price action of things that we value in US dollars as it gets inflated away and it becomes more and more obvious.